Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. 3, 2, 1. Probably أقدم بودكاست في مصر وبروبلي واحد من أحلى بودكاست اللي أنا اتفرجت عليهم في مصر. Cut the crap. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it.
Thank
Genuinely.
you. I love this. I love that. Like this shows me how the podcast scene is legit now for Mostre.
It is. It يعني الحمد لله مدام. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Like this room took a lot out of me. But the podcast scene is starting to be very very legit. يعني الموضوع بدأ يكبر قوي وناس كتيرة قوي are starting to like. يعني كنت نازل بتكلم قبل pre-podcast and everyone and their grandma has a podcast now. فاهم قصدي؟
Yeah.
But what I want to get into with you is you've had your podcast for a while now. يعني
Yeah.
I think it's أقدم podcast في مصر. أو definitely top 5 أقدم podcasts في مصر.
I think you should say the first podcast for us.
Ooh, okay.
Actually.
Okay, when did you start exactly?
End of 2019. But I was working on it from 2018. بس أول episode نزلت كانت في Halloween 2019.
Okay.
It's a while ago.
A while ago.
I know.
احنا داخلين في 4 سنين.
لا ايه ده؟
ايوه 2018.
What do you mean? 2019 to 2020.
2022. بس لو انت فعلا بدأتي.
It's 2021, bro.
It is 2021, but we're like 3. لا no. Or no. We're like 5
You
months
made
away.
me. I was like, it's 2022.
4 years.
اتخضيت. Okay. يعني بس no. It's been never
It's been a
2
while.
years. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And how has it been so far?
I love it. I absolutely love doing it. I do it for me أكتر من أي حاجة تانية. But it's
There's always a but.
hard. لا. It's so hard.
Okay.
Because the thing about podcasts is, if you're going to start a YouTube channel, there's somewhat of a manual. But podcasts, there isn't.
Yeah, because they're so fresh and they're so new, and then you don't know, like it's.
Yeah, there's no edits that you can use, or special effects, or intros and outros, like videos to grasp your audience. It's truly about the conversation and what you're trying to push. And the awesome thing is about podcasts is that أي حد في أي حتة في العالم حاول يعمل podcast and they're bullshitting it, or they're just trying to have a podcast and they don't have something to bring to the table, it doesn't work. Because for the majority of your audience, it's just your voice.
Yeah.
So أنا بركب العربية أو بوضب حاجتي أو ببقى بشتغل أو بعمل whatever in my day, I want to consume information that's rich. I don't want to consume information that's entertaining عشان أنا قاعدة على السرير بالليل و I just want to watch some YouTube videos واتسحل. That's a different, it's what do you call it? Edutainment.
Yeah.
It's educational, it's entertaining, and it gives you a feeling إن أنا قاعدة معاكم. فلو بني آدم بايخ مثلا أو he's trying to put on a face بتبان. So it's very difficult to navigate in the demand of you have to be someone who grasps attention with attention span قصير, but stay true to, okay, why did I even do this? What am I trying to talk about? But I'm very happy with myself in the sense that I've always been very, very, very fulfilled with whatever audience I have. Yani I never try to push to gain more followers or get more views by compromising مثلا myself or doing something just for that. فاهم قصدي؟
فاهم. Would you be able to give me an example?
يعني مثلا I have the opportunity to interview a lot of famous people, and I have interviewed a lot of famous people, but I have the opportunity ان انا كل حد اقعد معاه يبقى مشهور, يعمل لي share, يجي لي followers, يجي لي likes, but sometimes some of them I don't care. فاهم قصدي؟ It's like, would I rather talk to someone who has a large following مثلا, who get me a lot of subscribers and a lot of listens, and that's awesome and a lot of attention, but this person يعني there's not much to talk about, or would I talk to someone who is an expert in their field or has accomplished something or has a story? So I pick the person in front of me not on the traction I'm gonna get based off the person.
Yeah.
I focus on the conversation I want to have, and my audience, who's therefore cut the crap, and for me, who is little in the pool of,
Not very little.
Not very little, but
ما شاء الله يعني it's you.
Yeah,
like,
الحمد لله طبعا. بس
I think you're the biggest podcast page in Egypt, and you're I think دي داخله على 7K and you're 6K followers now.
But how many years have I had it?
Yes, exactly.
فاهم قصدي؟
But again, like in terms of يعني أي حد ما يعرفش in terms of podcasting البيجز اللي في مصر, لا احنا بنتكلم في pages من أول 90 follower.
Yeah.
أعلى page أنا شفتها هي بتاعت لامان. It's Cut the Crap is around 6K.
Because I've made
That's
it a point to build authentically over time. So I was never, يعني no one ever dangled a carrot in front of me وطلعت جريت وراها. I was very fine with having 100 views or 300,000 views or 500 views or 50,000 views, and I have a range of like a fluctuation of audiences, صح? But
which is organic. That's natural.
that's the word I should have said 7 sentences ago. I'm very happy with my organic audience.
Yeah, but that's good. But I'd like to also highlight, and it takes so much to be able to do that, because عشان للأسف like this era of social media that we're living in, it's all about views, it's all about likes, it's all about comments, it's all about oh, look at my podcast, look at how much I have. يعني هقولك على حاجة والله العظيم أنا so I like my followers used to fluctuate between, I don't know, like 5K and 8K. نازل طالع I'm always losing, I'm always gaining, ما أعرفش إيه.
Yeah.
من ساعة لما بدأت البودكاست and I've had more people reach out to me in public, يعني so اتمشى and someone noticed me and he's like, yo, I saw your podcast, I really like it. That used to never happen to me. But when I started actually doing the podcast, by the way, the podcast is أنا عندي أقل من half. فاللي هو the traction that you have ما شاء الله is huge بالنسبة لي. But then again, when people meet you في wherever في المول ولا في أي حتة and they reach out because your content made a difference.
Yeah.
I feel like that's why I can relate لحتة إن ومش أي حد مشهور وخلاص، مش أي حد عنده ضارب 300,000 فولور هجيبه عشان يعمل traction، هجيبه عشان نتكلم على أي حاجة.
بالظبط. So that's the challenging part. And زي ما أنت قلت, maybe you don't have the same traction, but you have the impact, and it's about the impact, you know.
It is that's such a good way to put it. It's 100%. Yeah, it's 100% about that.
It is. So to me, it was very hard to navigate in these waters. لأنه I gave up everything for the podcast, right? And I wanted to make sure that I'm building it authentically, I'm doing it the right way, I'm doing everything the way I believe it. And along the way, طبعا, I went off track كتير. يعني, and especially this last year, من ساعة 2020, like right before 2020, when Cut the Crap started, I had a co-host. I was more focused on, or I was swayed more to have I had that has a story, yes, but also that has a lot of traction, which I supported for one reason. Because I was the first podcast وبتكلم على حاجات we don't talk about, I wanted the audience to look at someone like Hala Shiha or Asma Shif Munir or anyone that they know famous talking about things that we don't talk about, to say, oh, okay, we can talk about this.
So it's a conversation now.
Oh, so I had an objective by doing this. But مثلا by the end of 2019 up until 2020, when I was starting to shoot what I thought would be season 2, we had sponsor conversations, production companies coming through. It was like ready to take off, صح? And then Corona. And then I had to send everyone home. I had put a team together. We had a staff. Everything was like building up, but someone, you know, if it's too good to be true, then it is too good to be true. Everything started over. ما فيش حد هيجي يقعد معاكي. I did not want to do anything on Zoom because the internet was shit, if you remember. Every night بقى كل حد live. There was just so...
It was bad. Yeah.
It was so bad. وبعدين خلاص بقى sponsors بيلحقوا نفسهم وبيسدوا الديون والمشاكل فكل حد اتسحل. I felt like there was such an influx of content. There was so much noise. I don't want to be part of the noise. There were so many things you could talk about and so many things you could post about. I didn't feel like I could bring anything new to the table. I wasn't just going to talk about it just to talk about it. I needed to step back. Well, this was very hard for me. يعني السنة دي, and if I could give you an animation of how it felt to get the podcast back up, and I was in quicksand, and I'm just trying to like move. It's so heavy, and ومش بتحرك, and it just happened, you know, because I took a step back and I realized, okay, what are all the things that I'm doing now that just don't work for me? Okay, what do I actually want to talk about? كنت قادرة أتكلم حد خلاص. Everyone dealt with this year differently. I really had a very small amount of energy and intake ability. ما كنتش قادرة أجي على نفسي عشان حد ولا عشان conversation مش عايزاها. يعني if my friends are watching this 99% of them will say هي أصلا بالها MIA, we don't even know where the hell she is. No one knows where I live anymore. No one knows anything. People think I don't know. But I just needed to do that. And when I did that لاحظت اللي هو لا I'm actually doing things regarding healing. I'm reflecting, I'm redirecting. طب let's talk about that. And then that's how I was able to very easily have conversations about healing. And that's where season 2 came back. And everyone was healing. كل حد شاف الخرا اللي في حياته. You can't distract yourself anymore. Deal with it بقى. How are you going to deal with it? There's not, you can't, حتى ان انت مثلا صاحي مزاجك مش رايق تروح تجيب قهوة مش option. Odd.
Yeah.
So I realized, okay, if I'm healing, everybody around me is healing. يبقى أكيد كل حد is healing through something. Your mental health got to a point where you had to deal with it, you know?
Do you know how big it is for you to be able to hush out all the noise when there's so much around you and when there's so much going on, but you consciously decide to, no, fuck that. I'm taking a step back so I can take 2 steps forward with them. That's huge because I felt like I needed to do that, but I pussied out.
Why?
Because when COVID hit, أنا حياتي كلها عايشة على momentum. عشان كده بقولك I can relate but I can't at the same time. But it's so beautiful hearing it from you because لو رجع بيا الزمن I would do everything the same. But the only thing I would change would be that. Because I think in my زي بالظبط ما انتي قلتي COVID hit me super hard. Like it hit me like a train. فاهمة قصدي؟ Like a train.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to say I fell into depression because depression is very very serious. But يعني جات لي فترة I was very 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 sad. I was very overwhelmed. عشان أنا I work on momentum وكل حاجة في حياتي وقفت. So my coaching career وقف, my university وقفت, my friends وقفوا, كل حاجة وقفت. كنتش بعرف أنزل من البيت حتى. So when that hit, it made me realize oh shit, I have so much going on inside and I've been distracting myself all this time. And because I'm distracting myself because it's part of my nature. اللي هو خلاص ما أنا صاحي من النوم, ما أنا كده عارف إن أنا عندي جامعة 4 ساعات وبعد كده عندي I'm coaching ما أعرفش كام sessions وبعد كده أخلص وأشوف ناس صحابي. So there's never really time for you to sit down and be like, okay, what's going on? Yeah. فاهم قصدي? So for you to be able to do that في بداية COVID حتى when everyone is like okay pumping content about fitness or about معرفش healing or about mental health and you take a step back and you go like no, I need to work out, I need to see where I'm at first rather than see where everyone is at وحاول أقلدهم. That's absolutely fucking huge. Like I have so much respect for that. Because it takes a lot.
Well, I've been in situations where I needed to do this and I didn't, and I learned you already know what you need and you just have to trust إن كل حاجة تيجي في وقتها. You can't let the world rush you. وإحنا the one thing that the first thing I realized and I really I saw في وقت quarantine is we move so fast for what? For what? يعني كل حاجة يلا everyone starts a business, they want to be the best business in the next month. Everyone starts a line, they want to be sold out حالا. Everyone wants to start a YouTube channel. Everyone يلا go follow. طب follow ايه يا معلم؟ طب انت build, right? I believe and I trust the process of building. I really do. I don't, even though it gets into my head, باجي على نفسي ان انا اقول لا trust إنه لو هي يعني لو I know بحب أعمل podcast. I know I like to talk. So if I'm in a position
You're
where
really
I don't, thank you. If I'm in a position where أنا مش قادرة, there's a reason.
Yeah.
فمش هقعد ألوم نفسي. Although I would have days, by the way, many days. I didn't get depression, but my anxiety was triggered موت. يعني أنا كنت كل يوم بصحى بanxiety مش عادي. يعني it was horrible. لأن أنا كمان I like to feel progress and accomplishment. I cannot sleep لحد ما أحس إني عملت حاجة. فالبيت ده كان بيتوضب كل يوم. يعني it was insane what I did to the house.
Yeah.
So it got to a point where sometimes I would literally start crying and I'd say I feel like I'm such a loser, and I'd cry to my sister I feel like a loser. Everyone is able to produce وأنا مش قادرة أمسك اللابتوب. I cannot sit on my desk and do anything. طب ليه? And then I would go back and say لا معلش, trust the process. There's obviously stuff that you have to work through. it's a seesaw. It's back and forth. But for sure, and I know, and I wouldn't change anything about this year. You can't pay me to do it again, but I wouldn't change anything. إنه everything كل عطلة خلتني أعمل كل حاجة بجد for the perfect time. Really. يعني حتى الكونتنت اللي كنا صورناه ومحدش اداهولي وفي الآخر جالي and it was too late, it was not relevant. I was able with the right timing مثلا. I had interviewed Laura Skandar as one of the people before quarantine.
Oh, okay.
Never got it back. اتقهرت.
Really?
I never got it back till like November.
Oof.
يعني هي مش بس كل حاجة قلتها مش relevant لأن خلاص كان في كورونا هي خلفت وغير يعني
الدنيا اتغيرت.
Yeah, it's not relevant. Yeah. And I was so مقهورة بجد اتقهرت وعيطت وزعلت واتنكدت وحاجات كتيرة and I was always like I can't believe I have this like خلاص it's on my hard drive it's useless. But then when I interviewed her again and it just happened naturally that we talked and I was like, you know what, let's talk about motherhood and it was unexpected and everything was disrupted and you got corona and you were pregnant. And then we're like, you know what, let's do a prequel. Sana sana, look how much has changed.
Oh, that's such a good idea.
Exactly. So then after a couple of days after this episode, I released the prequel and it made sense. I trusted إنه أنا عندي content ده, but I don't feel like posting it. And I went with that because I wasn't going to post something I didn't feel good about.
Yeah.
وطبعا كان عندي doubt وزعل كتير, بس then اتأكد لي إنه هو no, if you just go with your gut and what feels right, it does work out. يعني it does. That doesn't mean you're not going to feel like shit sometimes, but you just have to remind yourself, no, okay, it's fine. I'm going to figure this out for myself, you know?
But I feel like feeling like shit is part of your gut telling you in something is up. يعني I trust my gut فشخ. I feel like when you do feel like shit, sometimes you need to take a step back. But sometimes I think it's your body's natural way of telling you, hey, there's something that is undealt with.
Not shit. Off. When you feel off.
Okay. Yeah,
feeling like shit, it's like a mood. It's like النهارده أنا
damn it, I feel like shit.
I feel like shit. Yeah. But if you feel off, then you know, okay,
there's something
I'm not at the flow. There's no flow here. فاهم قصدي؟ you by practice you figure out الصوت ده intuition, anxiety, my gut, my mood.
Something happened.
يعني this is a sign, this is توتر. You start to differentiate the which voice is the one speaking in your head, and the only way to do it is to go with one and figure out. فتتعود بقى تقول okay لا الصوت ده you know. Yeah.
But what made you start the podcast also? Like I want to circle back because I feel like we've covered a lot of ground, but I want to circle back to what made you start it. احنا بنتكلم ان انت you started working on it 2018, you launched the podcast 2019 and you've been going from 2019 to 2021 دخلنا على 2022. It's crazy. But
no one's going to believe you.
Yeah, exactly, فاهمة. But what made you start?
Well,
because the why is super important and I feel like you're someone that يعني عارفة في ناس تحسي اللي هم بيبدأوا because they're impulsive. I am that person. I'm super fucking impulsive. اللي هو podcast يلا نبدأ podcast فاهمة حاجة يعني quarantine مثلا. I literally started this online sports supplements shop and it was actually going very 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 well, but I had a couple of hiccups with my partner ما أعرفش إيه وبتاع, so we ended up like dismantling the project. But the podcast to me was kind of a redemption project. I always wanted a podcast, but when I felt like I failed في sports supplements shop that, and it was going fucking great. Like we didn't launch and we made double what we like. احنا عملنا profit 100% profit plus اللي احنا كنا حاطينه. فاهم قصدي؟ It was going great وما كناش حتى launched, but the things didn't really work out. فبعد ما خلص I was like, okay, I need to redeem myself to myself, not to anyone. So I was like, I'm gonna start a podcast. So that was my why, but it was also because I was always PC. very politically correct. عمري ما بقول اي حاجه and that doesn't mean ان انا ما بغلطش عشان للاسف عملت حاجات كتير قوي غلط on social media, but I was always super PC اللي هو I don't say what I actually want to say, I don't mean everything that I say. The moment I started this podcast, literally 3 disclaimers الأول in this podcast is going to be held in both Arabic and English عشان بس اللي يجي يقول لي تتكلم عربي انت مصري فكك مني. أنا it's supposed to be natural إن احنا probably هنتكلم على حاجات that are either taboo or انت بتفتكر في الكالتشر اللي احنا عايشين فيه ان احنا ما ينفعش نتكلم عليها, and 3 ان احنا probably هنشتم. so I don't want you to be listening and I say مثلا the word shit and you're like, oh my god he said shit, holy shit. فاهم قصدي؟ I don't want that. So these were the disclaimers because I wanted it to be super clear. And I brought on some very very controversial people, يعني من غير ذكر اسماء, للاسف في منهم ناس ترى مش احسن حاجه اصلا, بس I've للاسف يعني, بس I've got on some super controversial people because I want to hear them out. Like that was the podcast to me. That was my why was في الأول and I wanted to redeem myself. I wanted to feel like لا, I'm actually like okay, I can do this. With 2 it was because okay, it's time to be who I really am. Whether bad that's good or that's bad, whether people view that as oh my god sexy or oh my god that's shit, I don't really care anymore. يعني I just turned 21, so to me to me it's like okay, I want this next phase of my life to be different. I want to be me. Whether you want to be around me, whether you see ان انا بعمل حاجه حلوه او لا, it's completely up to you. And if you don't like how this podcast is, then it's not for you and you can go watch something else. No hard feelings, nothing. So that was my why, and I thought I should reflect on it. I want to know your why, because I don't feel like you're someone that is as impulsive. I think you think things through.
I'm not impulsive at all.
I know.
I'm not impulsive at all, actually. I seem impulsive لأنه I keep a lot of things to myself until I get organized and I kind of have a strategy. Sometimes people perceive that as impulsive, بس اللي هو lo and behold أنا بقالي قد كده بفكر.
سنة, but yeah.
Oh, not for any reason. It's just I don't know. It's just how I spend my time. I never felt the need to share. My why is it's a long story. I will try to do my best.
Please don't.
Okay, so flashback, 21, graduated from Northeastern University. I had a bachelor's degree in broadcasting and a concentration in law because I planned to go to law school. You can't do just law for America as an undergrad. المهم, so I was working as a paralegal. I was certified paralegal, and I had a year off, and I was just working, and I was working, getting ready to do my LSATs and getting ready to go, fam. Until that point, once I graduated, and I realized that I checked all the boxes, and I've always wanted to be a lawyer, and here I am, and I passed my LSATs, and I have my recommendation letters, and I have a job, and all I have to do is just apply now. جالي زي stop كده, and I was just like I'm not me, like something's off. فقعدت مع نفسي and I realized I hate working at a law firm. Completely hate it.
Huge.
Loved studying it, hated working it. It didn't align with me as a person. يعني as a dumb example مثلا, well, first you make so much money that you don't even have time to spend.
Really?
مبدئيا. And you always look at your superior and you're like, I want to be you when I grow up, and I didn't want to be or have the life my partner had. اللي هو I get gifts for his daughter, I write thank you letters, I buy Christmas presents. That's not the life I wanted. And that's not at the time, that's not a legitimate reason to not work. لأن الشغل شغل واللعب لعب. You go تتوظف تعمل فلوس خلاص, then بقى روح عيش حياتك بقى بالليل. فدي كانت حاجة it wasn't aligned. And a stupid example مثلا, I would literally have to مثلا prepare binders for a deposition or something, and we'd print like 7,000 pieces of paper to make 300 binders. ورقة تطلع غلط كله يترمي, and I'm like, the planet, holy shit, like I can't be this is disgusting. كنت بتقرف, انت فاهم قصدي? It's stupid. I never said it to anyone, بس أنا بيني وبين نفسي I'm like المكان الخرا اللي أنا فيه ده. They treat people bad, they don't smile, they don't live their life, they don't care about the environment.
Were you working at a law firm ساعتها?
Yeah, I was working as a paralegal. So بعد ما اتخرجت I took a year off to just work and see like what's up. المهم I was like this sucks. المهم that was the first existential crisis I ever had. What the hell am I going to do? I'm not going to go work for marketing department في حتة. It's not going to happen. Okay. And I'm not going to go back to school. That's not an option. So what the fuck am I going to do now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Meanwhile برضو تهت يعني فهم تهت في حياتي, and I just tried to figure some stuff out. I was like, you know what? I need to go see a life and health coach.
You were 21 at the time.
I was 21.
That is early on. that is very early on, and you having that very early on is great.
I watched a lot of Oprah in my life. I swear. I watched a lot of Oprah. بس أقول لك حاجة I grew up and I matured very early on because people mature due to circumstances in their life, not because of your degree or you get married or you graduate. من الحاجات دي مش الحاجات دي اللي بتخليك mature. فأنا I grew up when my parents moved away because my dad was sick and they had to go to America وتعالج وكذا كذا. I got a very clear perspective of life very early on. And I remember مثلا لما اتخرجت من المدرسة ورحت أمريكا, I remember going through all these different feelings and emotions alone, and I had no one to talk to, and I never felt like anyone was feeling the same way. So I would just like watch stuff on YouTube to get some clarity or just feel like it's okay. And the only person on YouTube at the time who would talk about stuff was Oprah.
Yeah. That's when Oprah kicked in.
Yeah, that's when Oprah kicked in. I remember just like looking, okay, why am I so homesick and I still don't have friends and it's my freshman year of college and all my friends seem to be fine? Oprah. Just to feel a little better, to get a little motivation, just to get out of that mood. This was a consistent therapy in my life, really. And then when I went through this existential crisis, I went right back to that same habit. I would sit in my cubicle and put my beats on, like wireless beats, قبل AirPods.
Let's go.
Mind you, before AirPods.
Beats by Drake.
Yeah, but the wireless ones, and I would hide them كده.
Can power beats or like
yeah, the power beats, yes. Right? And I would hide them like this, and I would just listen to like on loop, video or a video or an interview, kaza, and I would just consume as much information that did nothing to me at the time, but it just kept me like hearing things that felt better. And then I was like, oh, they talked about life and health coaches, so I'm gonna go to one. I didn't have time ever to go. يعني حتى weekends I was on call. فاز like طيب هنعمل ايه? Okay, if I can't go, I'm gonna be one, so I never have to go to another one again.
Wow.
It's a very weird way of thinking, but it's what I thought.
That's such a good. It's not weird. It's fucking great. That's like اللي هو ما تدينيش سمك على زي الصد. بالظبط. So you were like, okay, I'm going to be a health coach.
أنا مش عارفة أروح له أي واحدة, you know, and they all kind of, I don't know, I just didn't, I don't know, I didn't go.
So just a weird vibe.
Yeah, it was a weird vibe at the time. It wasn't as cool as it was now. المهم, so I found an online course where I could just like report to the center every couple of weeks, which was manageable. So instead of listening to the interviews on YouTube, I would listen to my courses and do my coursework. ما أنا بايتة بقى في law firm ده كنت minimum 14-hour shift, يعني مش هزار.
14.
والله ساعات كنت بروح يوم الثلاث هروح يوم الخميس. No joke, like hello Adderall, hello office showers. It's not a joke, يعني. Oh, that was horrible. المهم, so after I did that, I remember just sitting with clients. واحد ورا التاني بيقعد قدامي and they're talking to me اللي هو بحس ان انا يعني كذا كذا and المشكلة دي it's just me, and I started to feel like everyone comes and talks about their problems as if they're the only ones, and then the next person comes and talks about the same problem thinking they're the only one, and then the next person comes, and as soon as I reassure them that إيه ده مثلا this happened to me too, the conversation instantly goes from sabotage to progress. So يعني I reflected بقى, okay, when I was lonely and I was homesick and I was this, whenever I would talk to someone and I would feel like إيه ده, despite your posts you feel this way, I would feel better. I would feel like, okay, I'm not doing anything wrong, but there's no need to like self-sabotage وأقعد أتحطم وأحس إن أنا فاشلة وإن أنا مثلا I need to go out more or إن أنا I need to do more or I'm not good enough or any of these things. I started to think, okay, this is normal. It's freshman year. هتعدي. You look forward.
Yeah.
A combination of the fact that these conversations were like therapy for me, and the fact that every time I spoke to someone who was going through the same thing was therapy for me and helped me redirect better, and the fact that I could see all these people that I started coaching that like after that year ended نزلت مصر and I left my job and I was like I need a safe to just figure it out. I had a lot of clients and I دخلت من باب food الأول, like healthy food for your mood, cut the crap كذا كذا, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, every person's, first of all, every health issue you have stems from something else. فرجعنا to the same point. Things you're going through and you think you're the only one going through them. I was like, I want to have a podcast, and instead of having the same conversation 7,000 times with all these clients, we have it once. Because the problem is that you think you're the only person going through whatever you're going through. And that makes you think إن أنت بتعمل حاجة غلط. فinstead of figuring it out بتقعد تلوم في نفسك وتعاتب في نفسك وتكره نفسك وتتقرف من نفسك and you start to pretend more and you go out and you gotta just cut that mask off لأنه لا هو الموضوع صعب لكل حد and this really showed what quarantine يعني whoever didn't cut the crap before quarantine fucking cut the crap after يعني with or without me it had to be done this is how I like to live my life in a way اللي هو there's مفيش just straight on you know what I mean and that's why I wanted to have the podcast and that's why I called it Cut the Crap لأن that was what I would say to myself that last year every time I started to like downward spiral in my thoughts I say cut the crap stop كده so I called it that and the funny thing is everyone and their mother when they heard I was starting Cut the Crap was like لا الاسم مش لا الاسم
لا حاجة خالص
I'm like هو بالاسم يا ما فيش podcast
yeah
they're like لا طب حاجة مش عارفة كذا طب حاجة مش not so and I'm like هو اسمه Cut the Crap and if you're offended you're not this is not for you
and if you're offended that means that there's crap that you're not cutting out
seriously
صح
yeah for sure لأنه crap can be a lot of things you know it's the thoughts that you think it's the conversations that you're having it's the lies that you tell yourself it's the facade everyone puts on that life is amazing like go walk in Hacienda right now everyone's living their best life بقالهم 70 شهر بيشتكوا ان كلنا مفلسين والدنيا الاقتصاد والكورنتين وخايفين وتعبانين عادي بقى روح الساحل الحياة زي الفل في اي مشكلة كله مبسوط
بشرب براون نوز على البحر
it's hard you know فيعني انا مثلا this year انا مش قادرة اروح الساحل I cannot لانه مش قادرة consume this show.
You have no idea how much I genuinely respect you right now because I literally just came back from Sahel and I سافرت ساحل 4 ليالي. It's so fucking beautiful. I was just talking about it in a podcast with a friend. لسه راجع من الساحل واهلي سافروا النهارده هيقعدوا 15 يوم كمان. I decided not to go عشان مش قادرة. You just can't take the fucking bullshit anymore. اللي هو especially كمان in it's like you are constantly fucking running اللي هو أنا في حاجة محتاجة ألحقها إيه معرفش.
Everything we were supposed to learn from quarantine happens in Sahel. Being rushed by time, feeling you have to be everywhere at the same time and yet you're nowhere.
Yeah.
أنت دايما مقصر.
Yes.
على سنجة 10 حتى وأنت في المية حتى وانت في كيكيز بقى والميك اب بيسيح بقى اديله والشنيور بيقع بقى والشنيور ولا اسمه ايه شنيور ايه بتاع بيعملوها في شعرهم دي انا والشنيور I don't know كله بقى ايه لزق محزق فظيع I'm not saying this is everybody but I'm saying this is
99% of the people
this is حتى الناس اللي هناك بتشتكي من كده مش بجيب حاجة من نفسي فاهم I can't I need like
it's just
not that at all you know ومصاريف ملهاش اي لازمة it's just like it's to me it's like this it's like a negative I don't know what to call it يعني for me في ناس طبعا circumstances بتاعتها تختلف وبالنسبة لهم يعني they know how to make it their own
yeah but it's just fucking toxic honestly
it really is
it's toxic كمان عشان I feel like there's something to prove. There's always something to prove. There's always something to prove in I'm wearing this amount of brands. Oh, I'm going to this place. Oh, انت امبارح كنت في ساندي وايت أنا كنت في ساندي ريد. اصلا ساندي ريد more exclusive. انت امبارح كنت في ساتشي أنا كنت في كيكيز. انت النهارده كنت في حفلة مروان ما اعرفش مين بكره في حفلة ويجز. فاهم قصدي؟ It's like it's not like people are actually saying it like اللي هو مش جاي يقول لامان على فكرة انت كنت امبارح في حتة كذا وانا كنت في حتة كذا. But the story is still. It's like everywhere you go, you need to have your phone out and you need to take pictures. Everywhere you go, it's such a toxic shit cycle. It's disgusting.
But also, I feel like to enjoy Sahel, to be with your friends and to be in that, you have to always be out.
I agree.
So how much conversation are you actually having when you're there? Because it's like كل مرة أشوفك I'm like إيه أخبار أشوفك في كيكيز كمان شوية أوكي هنروح نجيب مش عارفة whatever تاكوسان burger truck هنروح نجيب burger truck أشوفك في كيكيز أشوفك بالليل في ساتشي طب في الكابينة طب and it's just like it's nonsensical like it's
constant.
I can't you know and I much prefer like I've definitely just zoomed in on a very small group of people this year and we attracted each other. And it's just simple. More nights than not, we're just cooking and chilling at home, working out, working just trying to like build a foundation that you're supposed to. Yani, I'm 26 years old. So to me, I'm like, okay, where do I want to be when I'm 30? Where do I want to be when I'm 35? Now this is the time for me to start thinking this. And I've been thinking this since I graduated. But nothing comes from doing things because you're expected to do them and being rushed and things that don't make you feel good. في ناس ممكن this is life. Good, do it. وفي ناس feel like me. I get anxious, I get uncomfortable, I get exhausted, my body doesn't eat well, my system's not functioning nicely, my brain isn't stimulated well enough, I'm not moving, I'm just out. You know, I'm out and I'm like, and then this is like how it is.
Exactly. It's the facade.
أنا ما عنديش energy كده. I really wish, like بقعد أقول بجد نفسي يبقى عندي energy أروح حتى for a weekend and just like have fun, but تقيلة على قلبي شوية. تقيلة. And that's okay. في ساحل سنة جاية وفي اللي بعديها وفي اللي بعديها واللي بعديها واللي بعديها. So that's another moment where you say, okay, I have to respect how I'm feeling, and just.
But how did that make you feel? How did taking that time off and finding just a small group of people that you like, people that you can actually relate to, and people that you trust, to just spend the summer with? How did that make you feel? Ashan, I feel like it's very, very important. It's very important to tell people how it is من وجهة نظرك if they're actually going through the same thing. If they're going through the same thing and they were thinking about just taking off and just meeting this small group of people that they feel very comfortable with, that they really like, and that they have genuine connections with. مش اللي هو ايه يا معلم اخبارك ايه بتاع ايش يعني دي كده ليها وقتها. I agree. كده ليها وقتها. بس وقتها من وجهة نظري مش الشهر بتاع الصيف. فاهم قصدي؟ يعني مش شهرين الصيف. So how did that make you feel? Like finding genuine connection with people.
Rich.
Oh yes.
You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Very rich.
Very rich.
وكمان I realized إنه I'm actually a much simpler person than I thought.
In what way?
In every way. يعني أنا very minimal things make me happy. I need very minimal things. I am very simple. يعني and I didn't think I was this simple. فعلا. Very basic, which was great. This made me يعني fix my priorities in life. And at the same time, when you do things that make you feel good, أنا بقولك بجد صحابي بحبهم. I love them. I haven't seen them in time لأنه they prefer a different environment, and that's fine. We talk and we ask about each other, but when I took time to do what I want to do and I felt good, people feel it even if they don't know. الناس مش عارفة أنا عايشة هنا الناس مش عارفة أنا في بيت في القاهرة رجعت أمريكا أنا فين فاهم. They feel it and you attract similar people and the right people. يعني this is the least effort I've ever put towards any human being in my life, and the most time people are putting effort with me. So it's very interesting. In all the years I was like أنا كنت زي الميركوري فاهم لاقيني في ساتشي سياندا على البحر مش عارفة فين and I loved it, you know, but I was always running and there was never like وانت صغير بقى اللي هو مفيش جو اللي هو reciprocation قوي فاهم قصدي. Now I'm not even there. I don't know what's going on. I haven't been at all. I don't talk to a lot of people, or I haven't been communicating with them, but they'll be like, hey, how are you? How are you doing? You start to attract like people that are like you, and I've met a lot of people as well during this time in the summer, and the right people who you aren't communicating with, they come back.
I feel like you're very big on attraction.
Oh yeah.
Would you be able to share an example where يعني what got you into it? What was one thing? I'm pretty sure it's never
so
one
many
thing.
Things.
Yeah, it's never one thing. It's never one thing. But what got you into it? Because I feel like you're very big on it.
Oh yeah. But I lost something very special to me today. I don't know if I attracted that into my life, but I almost forgot about it. I remember that now.
It's fine if you're uncomfortable talking about it.
No, I'm trying to remember. Yani, this was attraction/manifestation, and this is one of my go-to have to believe in manifestation stories. When I was working at the law firm and I had a cubicle, كنت حاطة قدامي كده, I printed 3 pictures of 3 women that I wanted to meet. I said I will meet them. مش meet them اللي هو, oh my God, can I get you? No, I will meet them. I will work with them. I don't know how. I don't know when. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Okay? And I took a picture of my cubicle, sent it to my parents, and it was like taken November 11, 2017, 18? 17. Yes, November 11, 2017.
Okay.
I left the law firm. I got my health and life coaching certificate. رجعت مصر اشتغلت. ابتديت أقول عايز أعمل podcast. Somewhere in the mix, I got involved in a startup with a friend of mine from school who wanted to do like a hair care line and a healthy one and مش عارف ايه, and we want to get people to invest in it, and we want to get a big face on the brand, and we want to do all these things, and we did. And we got Kendall Jenner to be the face of the brand.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got Kendall Jenner?
I did.
Wow.
It was crazy. فطبعا I
That's
left.
huge.
I know.
Holy shit.
I left على طول. I went to California, and this is where we were basing it out of, and we started working. We had a day we were supposed to do our first photo shoot with her and the prototypes and the products. واحنا هناك شوية the crew of keeping up with the Kardashians are coming, and I'm like okay ماشي. And you're managing way. Like you have her for a certain amount of hours. You have content you need for the website, for the launch, for the banners, for the this and the fam. I didn't even have time to fangirl خالص. And I was like on
you were working. Yeah, you were up.
Yeah, 3 people doing everything. They're like, oh, the crew's coming, مش عارف ايه, we need everyone to sign this release form. Oh, Mario Lopez from E wants to come do مش عارف ايه.
Wow.
بعدين أنا قاعدة and I'm working, and I look up and I see Kris Jenner, and they're like, she wants to talk to you guys.
No way.
And that was one of the pictures in my cubicle.
Are you serious?
And guess what day it was? November 12, 2018.
Of
a year and a day. And I had no reason at all to believe in أنا هبقى في California working on a startup, shooting Kendall Jenner as the face, sitting with Kris Jenner discussing business. يعني أنا كنت في cubicle.
Holy shit.
You understand?
Yeah.
But I truly believed it. Like I was like, this is gonna happen. I don't even care. It's gonna happen. والناس تضحك عليا, and it was like fun. You know, I can't believe you have a picture of Kris Jenner at your cubicle at a law firm. Do they make fun of you? I'm like, I don't even care. Who's laughing now, fam?
Wow.
Oh, lie. فحاجات كده, like honestly, no, I believe it. لأنه life is energy. Everything is energy. Your words are spells, you know, and that's why when you talk about certain things, you make people feel a certain way, and you adjust how they act. And everything has energy. Everything in life has energy. Everything. So,
okay, this is fucking huge. I love it. I'm reading this book. It's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. All right. This book is about meditation. Do you know it?
No.
Okay, so it's a book about. I've been very big on meditation for the past 7 months. I've been meditating twice a day. I'm very consistent with it. It fucking changed my life.
Yeah.
I love it. I owe everything to it. So this book, it talks about the science behind meditation and how meditation can change who you are. So the guy, very يعني very like fluent, very راجل خطير يعني بيتكلم على إن 99% of our entire universe is energy, and only 1% or 0.001% is physical matter. But we always tend to focus on the physical matter. خلاص? Because it's what's physical. دي قدامي, كوباية دي قدامي. خلاص? I don't see that there is an energy field around it. But we can sense energy. عشان كده لما when you're feeling good and you're happy and you're hyped, بعد كده بتقابلي حد just feeling down and they're low and their energy is different, you feel it. It's like there's an invisible clash. فاهم قصدي? So what he talks about is how can you through meditation or through manifesting attract similar energies to your life. وبدأ يتكلم فشخ بقى على in when you put out a certain energy, when you truly believe in things, when you زي بالظبط ما انت قلتي اللي هو you don't know how, you don't know when, you don't know what the timeline is going to be, you don't know لو هتقابليه في coffee shop ولا لو هتقابليه في shoot في كاليفورنيا وانتي بتعملي حاجة معينة for just to start a brand with your friend. When you truly believe and feel the feelings that you are going to feel when you meet that person or when you get that job or when you travel to that place, you will manifest it in your life. اللي هو literally انت تقعد and you are thinking about it so much to the point where it already happened. It's like there are 2 types of creation. There's a creation in your mind. There's a physical creation out there. So when you genuinely sit down and you feel all the feelings that you would feel if that happens right now, it is going to happen in your life. I know it sounds very woohoo boohoo,
no.
but like it's insane. It's insane because I've had that happen to me in my life, and you talking about it makes me feel like, oh, okay, this shit is real. Like this shit is, it's not a joke.
But you know, there's a lot to it. Yani, when you put out energy, you have to understand what kind of energy you're putting. You can be like, okay, أنا بحط positive energy.
Positive.
لا, it doesn't work like this. لأنه there's conscious energy and there's unconscious energy, and we tend to attract more often than not the things you don't want. You actually attract it unconsciously. Like people who always end up in like the same type of shitty relationships. This is unconscious attraction. It really is.
Can you get into it?
Well, you can watch my episode with Yousef and she will definitely tell you more.
Okay.
But you have things that resonate in your body that happen to you that your mind might not remember, but your body, your spirit retains. That's why a lot of times when you reach a point in your life where you feel like there's things you want to go to therapy for, we always go and talk about your childhood. Because although you weren't, يعني انت consciously مش فاكر انت كنت بتعمل ايه وانت صغير, there are things that happened that stick to you. That's energy that stuck with you that you never understood how to delegate it or release it. It's piled up, and with time it grows until you get to a point where you're like, هو أنا ليه بتعصب كل ما حد بيقرمش حاجة جنبي؟ هو أنا ليه لما حد مثلا إن حد يشتمني مش بزعل, بس إن حد مثلا they smirk at me دي بتجنني. You know?
I get that.
So that's unconscious energy and unconscious things, like things that you release unconsciously. So the more you're able to catch your triggers and catch your insecurities and catch things that happen to you unconsciously through therapy, reading, meditation, you start to say and be able to control what energy you're putting out there. I'm not saying wake up and smile at every person in your face and think that's positive energy. Meant that you could be an egotistical ass doing that, or an arrogant person.
You're right.
It comes from within you. So a lot of that is unconscious, and that's why a lot of people will doubt it, fam. They'll say, I'm always like wanting to attract the right person, but I always attract assholes. Well, that's your unconscious energy is doing that. So you need to figure out where that's coming from and recognize the pattern and decode it to see where it stems from. But then there's other things where
this is a process.
Of course. Well, it's not woohoo. It's
an actual process.
حاجة مدروسة يعني
training.
over decades and centuries. فكمان if you say like, when I put the picture, right, and I said I'm gonna meet them, I didn't obsess. I didn't go and like try to apply to work in California. I wasn't like obsessive, because that's obsessive energy and that's not what you're attracting. So I said, this is gonna happen. This is gonna be great. I don't know how. I don't know when. Let it go. And I went on to just work and do what I believe in and do things that felt right to me, and it just happened. Yani, when I started this wasn't where I was thinking. Never, ever would I think that I am part of a startup and I hire Kendall Jenner. Yani,
you hire Kendall Jenner.
You understand?
Do you understand how crazy that sounds?
I also have this joke. I have this little joke. حد بيقول لي مثلا, oh, you used to work with Kendall Jenner. I'd be like, she used to work for me.
No. We hired. Yeah,
for me.
She worked for me.
Yani, she didn't exactly work for me, but basically.
But I mean, you hired her.
I mean, she was the face of our brand, right? So she got a paycheck from us.
Damn.
But yes, but it's you have to know that anything you chase runs.
Oof. Okay.
But you need to hold things that you want in life in a way where you allow things to happen on their own time. Again, you're not rushing it. You're not obsessing. You're not hyper-focusing. And that's where anxiety comes in, and that's where self-doubt comes in, and that's where irritation comes in. But this is a process. Like, I still learn this and remind myself this. You know what I mean? You have to just practice it. It's not like, I manifested it, and I wrote it, and I journaled it, and I told everyone about it, and I think about it. Do what you... Put it out there. Believe it. Do what you can, and let it go. Just let it go. It will happen, but you have to let it go. You have to just release it so it happens. فاهم قصدي؟ يعني ما ينفعش لو أنا عايزة أتفرج على فيلم بس ماسكة الدي في دي في حضني هتفرج عليه. Let it go. Literally, it's like a weird metaphor, but you just...
It's a really good metaphor.
You know, even with kids, like if you're raising your kids, the stricter you are and the more you're protecting them, and it's because I love them, and it's because I know what's out there, and they become the most rebellious snakes because you teach them how to lie better. So you have to just trust ان انا لما ابني يروح يعمل حاجه هيتصرف صح. Trust ان هو لما يركب العربيه هيرجع بالسلامه. Just trust, because when you don't trust, you're putting yourself as the ultimate power. If you need to control everything, you're putting yourself in a position of God. لا مش بتاعتك.
Yeah.
You can ask, you can believe, you can do the work and just wait. فما ينفعش يعني انت فاكر مثلا لو انت حبست عيالك في أوضة خلاص انت كده you saved them and you're protecting them from everything. You can't do that. It's not your job either, you know. There needs to be humbleness in the process of خلاص أنا عملت اللي عليا أنا I asked I believe زي الدعاء manifestation. You have to believe and you let it go.
Where is all this coming from? Because you're coming from such a knowledgeable, calm, centered place. ما شاء الله ما شاء الله ما شاء الله يعني.
I wasn't like this.
I bet you weren't.
99% of my life.
I bet you weren't. يعني this seems just fresh. مش حتى ليكي بس it seems fresh. عامة إنه someone that understands all that and puts it to practice, but still isn't talking every day about it. اللي هو like where did that resonate from? Where did that all come from?
I don't know, but you said something very important. I'm not always talking about it because we spend our whole life taught to live outside. انت شكلك مدرستك عربيتك شكل عيلتك لبسك شعرك. I'm not saying these things don't matter, but we were focused 100% outside and not inside. Inside you deal with yourself later until it was too late. And I came to a point where I realized my life is mine. It's not my parents, and my parents' life is not mine. My siblings' life is not mine, and my life is not theirs. And in an Arab culture, طبعا احنا كلنا داخلين في بعض. It didn't work for me, you know. And I needed to center just myself because no matter what, you will always have yourself. And that's not a bad thing, and that's not a sad thing, and it's not a scary thing. So when you're centered and you're anchored in yourself, you take power back. Everything is within you. You're not seeking anything externally. Whether it's starting and أنا بعتمد على نفسي, أنا أصرف على نفسي, or I can decide things myself instead of asking everyone their opinion. I can feel safe. So long as I'm like with myself, I don't need a specific place or a person, because I've learned people come and go. Everyone's going through their own journey, and most often than not, when people do stuff, it has nothing to do with you. So you're betting on the result of someone that's not thinking of you. طب ما who's thinking of me? I have to think of me, because لو أنا مثلا دخلت لك في الأول ودخلت لك كنت متوترة, then قلت لك listen, I'm just gonna be honest, like before I came here I lost something and I was looking for it like a maniac.
Which is true, by the way. You lost something. You weren't looking for it like a maniac, but you lost something.
No, I was looking for it before I came to you. فأنا دخلت لك شوية, like I'm still not really in my head. So I had to like communicate this, right? So people usually won't do this. You'll go and حد يجي يطلب منك حاجة وهيبقى رخم, and you'll be like هو بيكلمني كده ليه, هو فاكر نفسه مين, you can disrespect me, هو أنا هفا, and it's so much about you and it's like nothing to do with you, you know? Yeah. I got to a point where this year I experienced, like I told you, the worst anxiety. I experienced fear and just everything that comes with that anxiety, and I got to a point where I was sick of it. It's like when you train your child to sleep in a crib alone, you start to learn to self-soothe, right? And by learning this, by reading, by practicing, by listening, by talking, by discussing, by researching, by practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing, أنا بحس إنه I don't even have the need at this point. If someone has something to say or I hear someone say something about me, I don't even have a need to correct you. This is your bubble. You're creating your own world. I don't need this in my space at all. Your opinion of me is yours. You carry that shit. I'm not even triggered by it anymore. وأنا كنت عصبية أوي يعني. When you realize the only things that will ever affect you are the things you allow into your space, your mind, your life, your house, your car, your thought process, that's on you. That's literally on you. You choose what stays, what goes, and then you start to realize that every person is like that. You start to realize okay, لا فعلا كل واحد is acting from a place that has to do and is triggered just by themselves. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with you. But when you can feel this, you're able to control your own energy, and you're able to say, طب أنا ليه لما هو قال لي كده, why was I triggered? And then I start to see what my unconscious issues are, right? And why this was a trigger.
Because I'm insecure because of
بالظبط. So I start to see like ليه حاجة زي دي ممكن تعصبني, لأن لو هي صح وغلط في التعصيب كان زمان العالم كله بيتعصب على نفس الحاجة That's not true. So you start to realize that every negative reaction you have to something, it's not valid. You should see where that's coming from, because if it really is someone just trying to be an asshole, just don't listen. Just don't give them the platform. Don't. It's your choice, you know. طبعا easier said than done, and it takes a lot of practice, but just do the work on you, and once you start to say, I'm gonna just go with my instincts, and I'm gonna go with my gut, and I'm gonna take time off, even though my mind and my brain are telling me you're a loser and you're wrong, but my body is telling me مش قادرة, and you do it in spite of all of these things, and you come out the other side and realize, thank God I did that, you start to gain a lot of respect for yourself. And when you respect yourself, you respect your space, you respect your time, you respect your energy, you respect your thoughts, you respect your mood. بتحب نفسك. This is what it means to love yourself. What the fuck does it mean to love yourself? This is it. So I start to say, if I don't want to see these people, I'm not going to see them. If I don't want to go, I'm not going to go.
Man. Like I woke up today, like I don't want to say I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, but I did not wake up on the right side of the bed. كده. So I woke up, مش ألذ حاجة, took a shower, ظبطت نفسي, نزلت تحت, started meditating. It was a rough meditation, didn't go well, which is fine. But so I wrap up, and I realize إن أنا للأسف ظبطت حاجة مع حد ومفروض أنزل معاه, literally like after the podcast. And I love this person. I love them. They're super close to me. I love talking to them. So I just genuinely don't have the energy to talk to them today. I don't have the energy to talk to anyone today. So I was thinking to myself, okay, خلاص podcast, and I'm just going to text him. I'm going to rain check عشان مش قادر. Then pre-podcast قبل ما يبدأ على طول, I'm like, خلاص fuck it. We're going to have this podcast. It's going to be great. وبعد كده إن شاء الله أخلص وأروح أقابلهم. You talking right now.
You don't want to go.
I don't want to fucking go.
Don't go.
I won't go.
Don't go.
And you're right. You're right.
I would never, and that's the thing, when you start to live your life like this, you will shed people.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
But you will attract other people. عارف me and my friends ممكن يبقى فوش بعض طول النهار, and then فجأة حد يختفي. And you know what we'll say, like every now and then be like, I'm just checking in. I know you're busy. No need to apologize. No need to explain yourself. No need to make it up to me. I got it. I get it. It's weird. It's a weird time. Yeah. Do you? مش حاسة, you don't, it's fine.
You outgrow so many people.
You outgrow so many people.
I literally just tweeted that yesterday. I'm like, I've outgrown so many people. Because I got to a point where I realized, okay, I was in a certain bubble applicant. This is actually huge.
Tell me.
Okay, so I have this really, really close friend of mine. اسمه كريم. كريم is a friend of the podcast. أنا وكريم كنا literally like a friend. يعني كريم literally آخر حلقة. Episode number 40. Yeah, episode number 40. Literally صورنا امبارح الساعة 12 بالليل. It was great. Yeah. Like,
I didn't know this was an option.
No, it's just على طول, فاهم قصدي?
I'm trying to see if they found the bag. Sorry.
So أنا وكريم كنا في سخنة over the weekend. كنا في سخنة لوحدنا. لا بيسا فاضية, ما فيهاش بني آدم. احنا قاعدين على البحر لوحدنا. It was fucking great. And I was talking to him and I'm like, bro, I now realize that I've always had people around in my life, not because I really love them or because they add value to my life, but because I was really fucking afraid to be alone. And that resonates معايا أنا دلوقتي. Like literally these 2 days من يوم الخميس, والله العظيم انتي مش فاهمة أنا كم الناس اللي دلوقتي في دماغي. I'm like, you were in my life because I was fucking terrified to be alone. Like I needed to go out. Not because I want to, not because, you guys are super cool and I enjoy your company. أنا كنت ببقى قاعد وإحنا خارجين. I'm just feeling like, what the fuck am I in?
Because you're taught that every value you receive in your life comes from outside.
Yes.
فاهم قصدي?
Yes.
You have to go out because you have to تثبت وجودك. You have to.
لازم يبقى عندك صحاب.
يبقى عندك صحاب. It's what's required, but it's not.
It is really not. And
when you have, have a group, when you take the time to cut the crappy people out of your life, or the low energy people, as I call it in my coaching sessions, زي ما في high energy food and low energy food, food that makes you feel awesome, like berries and smoothies and all this stuff, and food that like semna and that's the tabat. People are the same. And it's really scary to shed that. But once you do, مش هيلحقوا يوحشوك لأن you've already attracted much better people. And you're like, I never ever thought that this would be how I'm surrounded, and that like this is friendship. Like this is friendship. You know, this is the things you read start to make proper sense. All these quotes and cliches, you're like, okay, now I understand.
These make sense.
You know, now I understand what this means when someone says love yourself, or you know, in my mind but not paying rent, like all that crap you read. But you need to do it, because if you don't, you're just like you're giving away pieces of yourself, and then for what? You can't focus on work, you can't focus on your family. You're like,
I cannot agree more. Wallah al-azim. Wallah al-azim. And it's a leap of faith, but when you jump, it's so freeing.
Faith. I'm very faithful. So faithful.
Okay.
Yani, I choose to be a practicing Muslim and a Muslima, but I believe in I've read the Bible, I've read the Torah, I've read the Quran multiple times. I have learned about spirituality. I have learned more about my religion by learning about spirituality and energy and ancient practices and understanding it for myself, what this means. And you cannot live a balanced life, a good life, an honest life, if you don't have a spiritual practice. And this can mean anything. This can mean anything, whether it's a specific religion or you prefer to say like the universe, or you prefer, but you need to have something that's the equivalent of a spiritual practice, and you need to believe in something higher than you. Because if you don't, again, you're putting yourself,
you're
the boss of the world, and that's a lot of pressure. You're not the president of life. You're not. There are moments where you need to know, like, I can't be controlling like the parent. I need to be able to let it go. طب انت let it go to who? You have to believe the universe, God, whatever your belief is. There's something else out there, and there is, because look at everything else in life that's proving you day and day.
Is. And we believe to be, because I am practicing Muslim, alhamdulillah. I chose to be because I've read also the Bible. But زي بالظبط ما انتي قلتي, it's so fucking important to believe that you are not the president of life, because we are so insignificant. Like, have you ever traveled to أي حتة فيها صحراء وقفتي في نص الصحراء just alone, where your eyes can't even see the end of the desert, and you feel so fucking insignificant. اللي هو I am a speck. I'm like, you're so tiny, we're all so tiny. ففكرة ان احنا بالحجم ده we're playing God and we're trying to be God وحاطين نفسنا فوق, وزي بالظبط ما انتي قلتي اللي هو قافلين على الدنيا كلها. It's just stupid. It's actually stupid. فاهم قصدي؟
Exactly. And the more you control and you try to tighten on things, you're not giving life space to interfere with you. فاهم؟ Oh, you got your shit together, buddy? Okay, يلا ورينا. You need to be able to let things breathe. You know,
faith is super important. I'm so happy you touched on that.
No, super important. But you need to find it for yourself. You know what I mean? You need to find faith that works for you. يعني برضو ساعات كده you feel يعني you need to do it from a place of انت مقتنع وفاهم انت مثلا بتصلي ليه او بتصوم ليه او بتعمل الحاجات دي ليه, so that النية واضحة and you get that reward from it. انت you're not just doing it because لازم اقوم اصلي عشان ما اخشش النار. That can't be the attitude. فاهم قصدي؟ Like, there's so much about praying, like even just the way انت بتتوضى, you're activating certain parts of your body مثلا that retain energy. So لما انت تيجي تبل ايدك وتعدي الكوع دي, it's an energy part
really
behind the ear. These are عشان كده وانت بتتوضى هتقشعر. يعني بص, I just did this وقشعرت لانه these are areas where your body can release and retain energy. So انت لما بتتوضى, you're washing off energy off of these areas 5 times a day. زي Reiki healers, when they heal you between each session بيروحوا عاملين كأنهم بيتوضوا.
That is so interesting.
It's so interesting. ولما بتقعد تدعي وبتركع, غير ان a lot of the movement of praying, in my opinion, mimic some of the positions of yoga مثلا, where like standing a certain way, will release negative energy or open up your heart center or do all these things. في positions similar قوي لبعض and there's a reason that you do it this way. And then لما تيجي تدعي انت بتدعي وانت متأكد ان ربنا هيسمعك وهينفذ صح؟ بس انت ممكن مثلا تيجي تدعي تقول يا رب عايزه فلوس كتير 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 فاهم قصدي؟ بس انت نيتك انت مش قصه انك عايز فلوس كتيره، انت عايز تعرف تصرف على عيلتك وتخلي بالك من نفسك وتبقى مستور. God knows that that's what you're asking for. So maybe مش هيجيلك شنطه $1,000,000 but هتبقى دايما مستور. You can take care of your family. You know what I, so that's again back to you have to know
you're unconscious
what you're exactly.
Wow.
So they're
okay.
they're
Full
mirrors.
circle.
They're mirrors.
Full circle.
You know. نفس الحاجة like when you manifest you have to believe it's gonna happen. لما بتدعي you believe it's gonna happen وروح اتقن عملك. خلاص دعيت go اتقن عملك. Work, read, research. So I was able to really appreciate my religion by stepping away for a minute back in the, like a couple years ago when I was 21 and I learned about spirituality and that's what made me see my religion بطريقة السلاح التلميذ ده ما عملوش. مس نادية ما عملتوش فاهم قصدي؟ ده الطريقة اللي هو لا this makes sense. This makes like look at you you're like this is so simple but so on point.
It's great. Yeah.
And that feeling is how everything is supposed to feel. فلما تيجي تاخد قرار and you want to know if it's right you should feel this contentment. Not great, not shaky. You're like this feels right. It feels right. الوسط خير الأمور.
Yeah.
You feel not overstimulated and not understimulated. You're right. You're focused. You got this. It's the flow. You know? But this is so important. You need to find whatever you need to find your something to believe in. You have to.
I could not agree more. I think at the end I'm really fucking enjoying this. This is
Thank you. I have all day. You take your time.
This is a great podcast.
Thank you.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. Yani, if I'm able to touch on a couple of things, yeah, but just understanding in at the end of the day, you are not responsible for everything. And yes, there are things that are under your control, but that's basically it. Yani,
yeah.
We're mortal at the end of the day. We have so much that is above and beyond us that when you actually start understanding in أنا ممكن أبقى بسعى وبعمل وبحاول وبفشخ نفسي في الشغلانة دي زي ما انتي قلتي اللي هو you were studying law و broadcasting and you were studying law for a very long time وتخرجتي and you took your LSATs وعملتي كل حاجة and then when you actually started working في law you're like what am I doing?
Yeah.
فانت لو it's okay. I feel like we just
you know actually when I started at Northeastern and they said you can't do law as an undergrad you have to pick something.
Why can't you do that?
It has to be a master's in law to qualify to take the bar. And I think they do this because they know that a lot of people are not going to make it. So they want you to have something to fall back on.
Okay, that's actually smart.
Yeah.
With the bar is difficult.
Yeah, the bar I'm sure is extremely... I didn't take it. I took the LSATs, yani, if I didn't get that far.
What's the difference between both?
The LSAT is like the SAT to get into a master's of law and do law school. Once you graduate law school... you study for 6 months to take the bar.
6 months?
Yeah. So in the years where you are in law school, you're studying the law. When you take the bar exam, you're getting quizzed on how to be a lawyer. So when you're in law school, you're reading old cases, you're learning about precedent, because that's what the common law is based off of precedent. So you have to refer to old Supreme Court cases. How did they come to these decisions? How did they argue these points? And then once you graduate, it's a whole different curriculum, books مختلفة تماما تقعد بقى تذاكر for the bar exam. LSATs, it's like the SAT to see if your brain, like how you can like logic and just how you get to solve. It's
problem
all like
solving.
It's all like riddles and shit فاهم. امتحان صعب جدا جدا يا لهوي لو مش اي حاجه كفايه انك قاعد 7 ساعات فاهم.
7 ساعات
7 ساعات
اوف كام سكشن ولا بريك؟
لا مش فاكره بس 7 ساعات with 1 15-minute break. But what I was gonna say is I said okay انا هاخد broadcasting. Everyone's like ايه الهبل ده, that makes no sense. Why would you do broadcasting and do law? That doesn't make sense. I was like I know but I like law and I like broadcasting فأكيد there's something there. وقلت خلاص man I want to be a lawyer, so it doesn't matter. At least I'll take classes I enjoy. lo and behold, أولا خلينا they both are very determined, like very reliant on your communication skills and your research skills and your ability to convince and to get along with people. يعني that aside, but now looking back, I was able to connect my legal career or my legal path to my coaching to broadcasting. The podcast, editing, sound, promotions, marketing, all these things خدتهم for broadcasting.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? So that's what I'm saying. When you go with what feels right, it will make sense. It will eventually make sense. And by the way, once I went to California, and this is actually what pushed me to leave everything, like I said, and come and do Cut the Crap. And when I went to California, I was getting paid more money than I ever thought. I thought I had imposter syndrome. I was making very good money. For myself, and I was working with the Jenners in front of everybody. I was living in California. I had a car. I had an apartment. Life is like
this is some Hollywood movie shit.
This is like no one's ever seen. Like I've never heard of anyone who's had this type of experience. Honestly, like I was very proud of myself, but I got to a point where I was miserable. It was extremely toxic at a point. ابتدى يخش investors كتيرة قوي وناس مش كويسة مش برتاح لها. It seemed off. حسيت ان انا ببذل مجهود كتير جدا and I'm not seeing the outcome. في glitch, في حاجة غلط. I'm homesick, I'm lonely. I don't operate well with this whole like 2 weeks a year, 3 days to be sick. وانا اهلي في حتة وصحابي في حتة واختي في حتة ومش عارفة اشوفهم ومش عارفة اصلا. I don't even have time to socialize or make friends, and I made the best out of that year. بس وصلت للآخر أنا كنت بروح للدكتور once a week for 2 months.
Oof.
To the point that my doctor was like, Lamaan, you've been here once a week. What's up? يعني we've tested you for vitamin D deficiency, for thyroid, for all of your everything to see why you كنت مهبطانة and I don't have energy and I'm just like this and I can't get out of bed, and that's not me. فقلت في حاجة chemically wrong. He's like, tell me about your work. I started bitching. And he's like, I'm going to give you Monday off and you need to find another job.
Oof. Wow, what a fucking doctor.
Yeah. He's like, I'm telling you, this is affecting you. Like, this is not a job.
And he's just a doctor. He's a doctor. Physiological.
Yeah, he's my primary care doctor. He's just a doctor. Overall, fam, he's not even like specializing in أي حاجة تروح له مثلا عندك مشكلة في ودنك, he'll refer you to a specialist.
دكتور البطنة اللي هو
he's just like عارف لما دكتور كل حاجة, and he then will refer you to specialist. So he's just like a doctor. He's like, you're not cool. يعني it's not fine. When I did that, I remember that I felt like I'm not fulfilled. This is not what I'm meant to be doing. I check more boxes than anyone. I have this picture perfect life. This is gonna succeed much more than this. Yani, I had every reason. Seriously.
Super Instagrammable. I'm California وبتاع بصور مع خالي كل يوم.
And I was traveling all the time. مش عارفة إيشي. I don't know. بازار هنا على showroom هنا على مش عارفة فين هنا على. You know, you're buying products
It's the life.
Yeah, there are certain things about that I loved, but it wasn't worth everything else. بالنسبة لي, I literally was at work and I said, I don't feel good about this new guy who's like heading the whole thing. راجل مرعب. I don't think we're doing this right. Something's completely off. Nothing is worth my spirit and my health. لميت حاجتي من المكتب, رحت البيت. I pushed everything into my patio, كتبت yard sale, sold everything in 6 hours. Facebook, كنيسة, veterans, ناس معدية. I got rid of it, called my parents, booked a flight, and I left.
Wow.
And my mom was like, what are you going to do? And I said, I need to talk about these things because everyone looks at me and says, you must be so. مرة, one of my, Tamima Hafiz, if you know her, she sent me a DM when I was there. I was 23 at the time. And she was like, I want to ask you something. Like, you have your life together. Did you always have it together? Or is this something that comes after college? Or is this This is the same day that I couldn't get out of bed. And I في اليوم كله in my bed. And I was like, Tamima,
you
have
something.
no idea.
Yeah.
I was like, Bussy, it's so easy to show when things are good. And it's not easy to show when things are bad. No one does that. I don't have things together. It's day by day. It's a day by day. Yani, I was like, okay, clients plus personal experience with a kidly. And even if you have the perfect job and you live in the perfect place and you have this like huge validation and you're working with the Jenners and the Kardashians, like who else are you going to work with, fam? And you're getting good money and you have all these things and you're not happy because it's not about these things. It's not about these things. And I was like, this is what I want to talk about. I was still working on Cut the Crap, but it took a little bit of a back burner because I was working on the startup. And I was like, this is what I'm meant to do. I don't even طبعا يعني I'm not even going to compare salaries, but I don't care. It doesn't matter. مش دي الحاجات اللي بتفرق. That's not the stuff that matters. And I'm very lucky that my parents understand this. لأنه أي حد تاني يقول أنتي بتهزري. You know, but this is what made me say, "La, cut the crap is happening," and now I'm going full speed. And these people need to know this. We all show something, or we perceive things as one way, when in reality, لا, هو everyone is going through something. على فكرة. So you have to talk about it, because when you talk about it, again, you start to not attack yourself, and you start to realize, okay, this is normal. So how am I going to go from here? So that was another like secondary push. Yalla, cut the crap needs to happen. Well, I actually started in California until I left.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Damn.
Yeah.
Oof. This is very eye-opening, because usually people talk about all this because they watch YouTube videos. You actually lived through it.
I did.
Like people talk about all this because they've read a book, like a memoir about, I don't know, like fucking Kendall Jenner or some shit.
Yeah.
But you actually worked with Kendall Jenner. That's I feel like that's the difference.
خلاص وصلت اللي هو okay, I'm supposed to be very happy now, but I'm not. Hello, why am I not?
So don't you think that happiness عامة as an objective is very it's always constantly changing. يعني I feel like happiness as a يعني أنا دلوقتي أدركت I don't know whether or not that's going to change in the future, بس أنا دلوقتي أدركت in okay, if I want one thing in life, one thing هو إن أنا بقى بس
إن إيه؟
إن أنا بقى بس I don't want to be fucking happy. I don't want to be like عشان أنا بالنسبة لي الرضا means that I'm at peace with who I am and that I'm inherently happy. Not happy اللي هو I am أنا ضارب ال LSD pill ومودي دماغي في 100 حتة.
No.
You're just okay. Because I feel we genuinely underestimate how just being okay, not high, not low.
I feel like happiness for me is the moments where I feel progress. I don't even need a destination. Actually, I don't do well with destinations, because once I accomplish something, I'm ready for the next thing. So I need stimulation. So it's feeling progress and being very centered in hope. يعني بحس إن أنا at this moment I'm doing something and I'm progressing while I still have faith and hope that the best is going to come. When I'm in a moment or a day where I feel like I'm accomplishing stuff today and I'm hopeful for the future, that's happiness. That's رضا. I'm راضية إن أنا هشتغل وهعمل والنهاردة ونازلة وبعمل I believe in this will bring, I believe in التعب ده, it will bring more and more. This to me is happiness. أنا ما أقدرش أقعد في happiness وأفضل قاعدة, because I'm alive. I need motion. I need to be moving. That's why they say it's about the journey.
Yeah.
Stopping is not life. You don't stop in life. Nothing stops in life. Every podcast you do is going to be different.
Yes.
It's every conversation you're going to have is going to be different. Every experience is going to be different. You have to be an ongoing learner, and إن أنت تبقى راضي رضا with where you are today and what you're doing, and believing that what's to come is good as well, and it's what's meant for you, and it's what you're asking for. That's happiness, in my opinion. If I wake up one day and I feel like I'm useless, it's not a happy day for me. It's a hard day for me. It's a hard day for me. So I push myself to do something حتى وأنا مش طايقة نفسي, and it's just تقيلة على قلبي وأوف. بس كل الأيام اللي بعمل فيها حاجة وأنا في المود ده, I come back and I say, that day is what made me get this order. It's what made me get this post. It made me get this. And nothing you do goes بالبلاش. Nothing you do بتروح كده. ولا كلمة بتقولها ولا حاجة بتعملها بتروح كده. Everything has energy. It stays around. What you do is done to you. what you say is a spell, everything. فأنت you need to be able to go with it and trust it and push yourself. Even if you don't feel like stopping but your body says stop, respect yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes يعني I think of myself as a little child. فاهم؟ اقعد اقول طب لو ده مثلا بنتي هغصبها؟ لا. Sometimes you just need to stop. And you think of it kind of like ما عنديش توكة. Kind of like what's the bow and arrow?
Yeah.
The farther back you pull, the faster and stronger you fly. صح؟
صح.
لو أنا عملت كده غير لما أعمل كده. So sometimes stepping back brings you stronger.
That's such a good analogy.
And it's fact.
It is fact. I agree.
It's fact.
I cannot agree more.
I look at where my
agree.
podcast is today and all the people that intimidated me when of Corona and I couldn't do anything. هم فين? I don't see them. I don't see their content. I don't see anything. What came of it? Nothing. I'm not saying all. Certain people in my head. Why? It was built off of clickbait. It was going with the rush.
Super fucking temporary.
And it's temporary because you're not building on a fundamental foundation. And you didn't take the time to learn. You're talking about quarantine while we're in quarantine. How are you going to reflect on something that's not even done? You don't know it's 2 weeks, 2 months. بس بالنا day. You know, how are you talking about something that's not over?
أنا أول مرة actually أركز في الموضوع ده and you're very right.
How? يعني I thought if oh my god, by the way, like what are we? August? Oh my god, we're in August. I still feel like we're March. Okay, Anna.
It's crazy time.
Last August, let alone right before quarantine, وأنا النهاردة, my eyes are different. Like when I look at myself and I watch videos of my eyes are different. I'm a different soul. Like I had to sit in my shit, by the way. أنا عيطت أكتر حاجة عملتها السنة دي عيطت. وقعدت لوحدي وقعدت في أوضتي. أكتر حاجة عملتها. And I'm so glad I did that. I take nothing for granted. I do my very best to not take anything for granted. وبحترم نفسي because I went through my own shit. I sat in my shit. قعدت في الخرا بتاعي بقى. إيه بوريني بقى. إيه كل الحاجات اللي أنا إيه ما بفكرش فيها. تعالوا اصحوا فهموني مشاكلكم إيه يا demons. And I started to see like, okay, if I have, when are we ever going to get to stop like this again? And you're a fool for not taking the time off. لأنه you know life is going to go back to normal. So you need, زي ما تقول اللي بيتكلم على طول النهار بيتكلم ما بيسمعش. Someone has nothing to say. I used to be that person. I love to talk.
You're really good at it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love to talk. And until يعني this year, I became a listener. I was a very good speaker. I wasn't a good listener. I can say this. حتى في الانترفيوز, حتى season 1, I wasn't the best listener. But I was a great speaker. I learned to observe. وحتى ساعات بقعد مع ناس بقالهم كتير ما قعدوش معايا يقول لك انت هديتي قوي. لا ما هديتش. I learned to observe and to listen. And to see, I don't need to always be, you know, like this. I don't need to do this. But life, the frequency of life got to you. It gets to you. For now, when you're aware of this, you can adjust the frequency around you. الناس بقت تيجي تقعد معاك هتبتدي تتقمص اللي انت بتعمله. Because that's how anchored you are. You know? يعني, and trust me, لو أنا عرفت أهدى, anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. Oh my god, I used to have to go to anger management once in my life. My sister's like, you have to go to anger management. I was very triggered. I was passionate and I was rushed and I was determined and I'm مستعجلة I'm hot-headed I'm confident. This gets you in a lot of trouble. You need to humble. You need to listen. You need to slow down, and you need to just go with the flow of your life. And I can say this about myself now. And I'm happy that I can say this. But there's contrast. I get that. I saw both. If I can tell you, this works much better. Things happen with much minimal effort now for me. يعني في حاجات معينة كده بتعدي الحمد لله.
الحمد لله.
من غير ما اضطر ان انا بقى ولا وكذا ونكلم وجرب وافرت وكنترول. لا بقى في يقين to life, respect for myself, and belief in my effort. I'm much able to say, خلاص.
You've peaked very early on.
Maybe it's not my peak. I hope there's more.
There's definitely more, but I feel like you're at a place that I think I really want to be in. Yeah, I think I'm working my way towards that. Hopefully, inshallah, في يوم من الأيام. But yeah, I feel like what's very impressive, من وجهة نظري, like what's very impressive about you is the fucking sheer amount of awareness you have. That's very impressive because awareness, I've been very, very big on awareness lately through about reflections and meditations وكلام جميل ده كله. And you have a lot of it. Like you are able to say, I feel a certain way and therefore I will react in a certain way and therefore الريزلت اللي هيطلع هيبقى كذا. فاهمة؟ I feel like that type of awareness comes through الاكسبيرينس اللي انت مريتي بيها. يعني experiences. Exactly. And I want to reflect on موضوع quarantine ده. I feel like if anyone went through quarantine, like again, I don't mean to be an asshole, but if you went through quarantine and you did not learn one or two things about yourself, I genuinely think you should quarantine alone. You should quarantine for a significant amount of time. عشان أنا 75%, 80% of quarantine, I knew nothing about myself. I was still trying to distract myself. And went into I'm a very fucking addictive person. And I have such a bad addictive personality, which is great because I build habits كده. Like I started meditating. خلاص أنا بمeditate كل يوم. مش حد
Are you a Cancer?
I'm not. I'm a Taurus, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, أنا فهمي.
Okay.
All my cancers are somewhere.
Yeah, from the ones I've met, yes.
Really?
Yeah.
And I'm very addictive. I'm very fucking impulsive, which is great sometimes. عشان يعني أنا مش فاكر literally تو كلام مع صاحبتي امبارح and we're like بقول لك إيه في there's this stargazing session on the 13th في فيوم. I was like let's go. تيجي تتكلم بجد؟ قلت لها قالت لي طب هندفع دلوقتي. literally دفعت on the fucking spot. Like I'm super impulsive and I love it. يعني impulsivity is what got me the podcast, which I love and I'm super happy about. I'm also very addictive اللي هو بس المشكلة إنه when I get very addictive بقى it gets في حاجات كتير قوي.
Yeah.
But when I have a really bad thought and when I have a fucked up thought in my head, it's bad. It's like the thought is there. It's constantly there. I can't get it out of my head. فاهمة قصدي؟ I've been trying بقى to deal with all that and all that to me stems from awareness.
But sometimes people have this wrong perception that for you to be or start becoming aware and centered that it's going to change your characteristics or your personality. It's not. بالعكس, you'll just learn how to use your gift not as a weapon but as a tool. لأن being impulsive or addictive could be a tool in your life when it's regarding positive things, but it could be a weapon and it can hurt. يعني أنا مثلا I'm a very good speaker like I said, and I used to use my ability إن أنا ممكن بمنتهى الاحترام أهين حد.
Yeah.
No thought necessary. And that's not what I meant to do.
Yeah.
So I had to learn to use something that I have as a tool, not as a weapon just because I can. And that's part of growing up. But that doesn't mean I don't speak as much as I want to and about the things that I want to. And me not being someone who's so like impulsive doesn't mean that I'm not spontaneous. It doesn't mean that I'm not the same fun person or that I go jump off a bridge or that I go swim with this or I go do this. I still like to do these things, but I do them with control. Not controlling the situation, but with, let's not say control, with poise, with awareness.
That's a really good word to use, yes.
With awareness. And part of being aware, or what makes people comfortable in becoming aware, is you realize in whatever you're about to find out about yourself, you're not the only one. And a lot of times بنخاف نبص على نفسنا because we don't want to find issues with ourselves.
Yeah.
So when you realize اللي هو لا إيه ده, I'm not the only one with insecurities from my childhood. I'm not the only one who needs therapy. I'm not the only one whose parents have probably done something along the way unintentionally that fucked me up. I'm not the only one who has مثلا sometimes my business is making a lot of money, sometimes it's not. And I'm not the only one. You are not the only one. And the only way you will understand this is when you're exposed to it. You become humbled إنه على فكرة أنت فسفوسة في الدنيا ومش أنت ربنا ومش أنت almighty. So who are you to be anything but humble? يعني I used to pride myself over this big ego I used to have. I mistook my confidence and my charisma and I thought I was invincible. But even though nothing really came and broke me, life brought me to my knees, and I noticed that these qualities اخرتهم ايه يعني؟ يعني اخرتها ايه لما هين واحد؟ اخرتها ايه لما ابقى ضرر كده اخرتها ايه؟ What's the point? There's no point. So you start to figure out اللي عندي ده, how am I going to use it as a tool for myself and for others? And at the end of the day, you're here for a certain amount of time. And you're not here عشان تتعذب. You're not here عشان تبقى صعبة. You're not here عشان يبقى كل حاجة امتحان صعب. That's not what life is about. It's really not. يعني احنا مش في النار لسه. It's not meant to be miserable.
Yeah.
It's not. For this, if you feel like everything is hard and everything is this, you're doing something that's not right. And if everything's so easy and so like stimulating, برضو you're distracted. You're not doing something right.
It's the healthy balance.
It's the healthy balance, and it's a daily thing, by the way. And امبارح I had one of the days you're having today. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I'm like, I'm so bored. But the difference is I'm like, it's one of those days. But I didn't give it too much attention. I was like, it's one of those days. What am I going to do to just go with it? Okay, let me find the good doctor to binge, and let me make some nice soup, and let me take a shower and call someone أغير moody. I'm trying to aid myself, but knowing tomorrow probably going to be a completely different mood. I'm not going to feed this mood. I'm so off track. I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Oh, Kevin, we did an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Stop.
Wallahi al-azim, an hour and 30 minutes. That's insane. Time flies. Okay.
God.
Yeah, would you want to wrap up? Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Up to you.
That's completely up to you, Anna. I'm genuinely down with anything. It's all part of being a
If you have any other things you want to ask about,
I honestly think this is Wallahi al-azim مش بأفور. I don't say this a lot, but this was one of the best podcasts I've had. It's I resonate with it.
Yeah?
I would listen to this again. Just hear you talk about عشان وانتي بتتكلمي دلوقتي, I was able to resonate with so much that you were talking about, and it gave me perspective. I'm like, okay, I am not the only one, and okay, hey, يعني she went through this and that, and this is who she is now, and she doesn't think and she is that, and she wants to grow through this. Yeah, it's been great. It's been great.
I loved it. You put me in a good mood despite my missing bag.
I'm really inshallah you're gonna find. Hopefully inshallah.
يا رب.
Yeah, وإنشاء مش هتبقى ضاعت عشان بتتفادي حاجة تانية. Hopefully inshallah. But I'm really glad you were able to come.
Thank you so much.
I genuinely appreciate it.
It worked out well. You texted me yesterday. It's like, actually, I'm here.
Spontaneous.
See you
yeah,
tomorrow.
it was very spontaneous. All right, طب خلاص. I think there's a really good
great.
note to end on. I want you to give like, and I don't want to call it a piece of advice, but just something for the people to hold on to after the podcast is over.
I really just think you need to give yourself a lot more credit. You already know. Maybe sometimes you're afraid of your own answer, but you already know what you need. You already know. And practice listening to yourself so that you strengthen your instincts and your gut. لأنه ربنا نافخ فينا كلنا, and there's something inside of us that God has put in us that is guiding us, and it works with everything around you. Don't be so loud that you don't hear the world and the universe speaking to you.
God damn. Okay, there's not a better note to end on than that. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
At Instagram, everything.
Lamaan and at cutthecrap.x.
So at Instagram, Lamaan, and at cutthecrap. I fucking love the name. The name is such a unique one.
Thank you.
It's amazing. And like now I get why you called it cutthecrap.
Oh my God, my therapist, yesterday I had a session with my therapist. He's awesome. And he was telling me about, because I'm like decoding shit from my childhood.
Oh.
And he was telling me how, I didn't tell him the name of my podcast, but he's like, I see in your WhatsApp DM picture, you're wearing a jacket that says cut the crap. And I feel like this comes from, and then he told me about all the things I was just bitching about, and how like, because of all the things I've been through, that I have this motto in life to not take crap. And I'm like, I never thought of it this way, like the daragazi. So
Damn.
yeah, everything's related in life.
It's great. Everything is related. I cannot agree more. All right. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you're still listening, and yeah, peace.